Welcome back, dear friends and students. We were discussing chapter number 8, Human Health and Disease. We have discussed many diseases in this chapter like typhoid, pneumonia, common cold, malaria, AIDS, filariasis, amoebiasis, elephantiasis, etc. And now we are starting with one more disease in this chapter, and that is an important disease, and this is called as cancer. Okay, many of you have heard this word, that cancer, and when you there is a recognition and imagination in your mind, the cancer, it is considered as a dangerous disease, that it is an image that cancer has, and really it is. There are lots of people, they are dying with a cancer in our India also. Normally there are more than 1 million people, they are affected with this cancer, and many of them, they died. Okay, so this is a cancer, a dangerous disease. Okay, but remember, it is a non-infectious disease. Okay, that means it is not caused by a pathogens. Okay, it is not caused by a pathogens. Okay, and it is not transmitted from one person to another person. So if one person has a cancer, that cancer is not transferred to another person, and that's why this disease is a non-infectious disease. Clear? So one thing is clear, it is a dangerous disease. Clear? Second one is, it is affecting millions of people worldwide, and India is no more exception in this way, okay, in which they are affecting the cancer. Okay. Now we have to see that how the cancer occurs, okay, and why many people are not suffering from a cancer. So you know that in the 11th science you have learned the cell cycle. If you see a cell cycle, the purpose of this cell cycle is to grow a cell. Okay, it divides a cell, okay, and that leads to a generation of a new cells. But this process, a process of formation of new cells in our body, or new cell in a body, is regulated. Means the process of cell division, it occurs in a controlled manner. The process occurs in a controlled manner. But when a body loses control over this process, then a person or a patient may suffer from a cancer. Okay? So how the cancer occurs? If I want to describe it in a general term, how the cancer occurs, in our body, the process of formation of a new cell that occurs in a controlled manner or regulated manner. But due to any of the reason, we will discuss the reason, due to any of the reason, if the body loses the control over this process, and then a continuous mass of a cells are going to be produced, such type of a disease is called as a cancer. It's called as a cancer. Clear? Okay. So let's see what are the characteristics of this cancer. Now you know that it is a mass of a cell, okay, towards which the body loses the control. And so that's why the mass of a cell that is going to be produced, that is called as a tumor. What it is called as? A tumor. Okay. So what is a tumor? Tumor, it's a mass of a cell produced, okay, a mass of a cell on which the body has already lost its control, and that is considered as a tumor. That's considered as a tumor. Okay. Now we have to discuss how many different types of tumors are there. See, now you know that tumor means it's a mass of a cell. Okay. How this mass of a cell, or what are the different types of a mass of a cell are there? There are two types of a mass of a cell are there. First one is called as a benign tumor, benign. And the second one is called as a malignant tumor. The malignant tumor, it is a tumor to which actually what we are calling it as a cancer. Benign tumor, in many ways, they are not harmful to our body, or they are not so much damaging to our body as compared to a malignant tumor. Okay? Whereas the malignant tumor, really what we are calling it as a cancer. Okay? Now what are the common characteristics of this benign and the malignant tumor? Or what are the common characteristics of a tumor, and then we will bifurcate what are the characteristics of benign and the malignant tumor. There are four usual characteristics of a benign and malignant tumor. The first characteristic is uncontrolled proliferation. Uncontrolled. Clear? Say if it is a tumor, the tumor has uncontrolled proliferation. Means in a cell division process, the body has lost the uncontrolled. The body has lost the control over this process, a division process or proliferation process. So this is the first characteristic. The second characteristic is de-differentiation. That means a body has lost a characteristic over the differentiation process. Means a process in which a cell converts into a specialized cell. The body lost a process over it. The third one is, it's a metastasis. Clear? The metastasis, that means it's a spread of a tumor from the place to another place in a body. This is called as a metastasis. And the fourth, it's called as invasiveness. Invasiveness means the tumor cell that invades into another organ or that enters into another organ, that is called as an invasiveness. Okay, so the cancer cell has these four characteristics: uncontrolled proliferation, de-differentiation, metastasis and invasiveness. Uncontrolled proliferation means the division or the new cell formation that occurs in an uncontrolled manner, that doesn't occur in a controlled manner. Second, the de-differentiation means a body lose a capacity to differentiate or to make a mature cell. This is called as de-differentiation. Metastasis means a spread of a tumor cell from its origin to another place in a body. This is called as metastasis. And the fourth one is called as invasiveness. That means the cell of tumor that enters into some other one. This is called as invasiveness. Okay. Now see, uncontrolled proliferation and the de-differentiation. I write over here. Uncontrolled proliferation and de-differentiation is a characteristic of benign tumor. It's a characteristic of benign tumor. Whereas the malignant tumor has all these characteristics: uncontrolled proliferation, de-differentiation, metastasis, and fourth, invasiveness. Clear? That means benign tumor has only two characteristics: uncontrolled proliferation and de-differentiation, whereas the malignant tumor has all these four characteristics. So now what's the difference? Here the metastasis, that means due to a characteristic of metastasis, the malignant tumor, it can spread to a different organs. Okay? But the benign tumor, it is localized. Wherever the mass of a cell is produced, that remains at that point or location only, whereas the malignant tumor, it spreads to other parts of a body. When it is growing in abundant number, because it's an uncontrolled number. So here it competes with a normal cell. Here it competes with a normal cell. Okay? So here it competes with a normal cell for what? For nutrients. Okay, so the malignant cell means a tumor cell and a normal cell, now they compete for a nutrient. Obviously, here the malignant tumor, they are growing at a very fast pace or they are growing very rapidly, so they take up most of the nutrient, and hence the normal cell are deprived of nutrient. They do not get a sufficient quantity of a nutrient. Okay, so that happens in the case of malignant tumor, and they spread to other organ. They enter into another organ, and at that point also they start a cancer. So this is the difference between a benign tumor and malignant tumor. We are calling a malignant tumor actually it as a cancer. Okay, benign tumor remains a localized. Okay, it is at the point wherever it originates, whereas the malignant tumor, it starts at a certain point and it has a capacity to transform or spread to another parts of a body. This is called as a malignant tumor. Clear? So this is the difference between a benign tumor and a malignant tumor. Okay. Now you know that how the cancer occurs. How the cancer occurs? Normally the normal cell or normal person have a control over the cell proliferation process or a cell division process. Means in that normal person the cell cycle occurs in a controlled manner. But in a cancer, that control over this process is lost. Okay? But how it occurs in a controlled manner, or what is something that is preventing it for a uncontrolled proliferation? So let's discuss how it is going to occur. See, normal cell that is present has a characteristic, that means it has a characteristic, you can say that it has contact inhibition. Clear? It has a characteristic, what we call it as contact inhibition. What is a contact inhibition? Contact inhibition, that means when a normal cell that remains in the contact with another cell, that prevents uncontrolled growth of a normal cell. This is called as a normal. Okay, so this is called as a contact inhibition. Due to a contact of one cell to another cell, it prevents uncontrolled growth. This is called as a contact inhibition. But in a cancerous cell, the contact inhibition, it gets lost. It gets lost. That means in cancerous cell or in cancerous person, even though the cell remains in contact with another cell, that proliferate in an uncontrolled manner. That a control is going to be lost, and thus the cancer gets spread. Okay. So this is difference between a normal cell and the cancerous cell or malignant cells. Normal cell has what? Contact inhibitions, means when the cell remains in contact with another cell, it prevents the further growth. But in a cancerous person or cancerous cell, this contact inhibition is going to be lost. And so that's why even though the cell remains in contact with another cell, it continues to grow up and proliferations. Okay. So this is how the cancer will going to develop. Now what are the things that leads to a development of a cancer? We know that many things that leads to a development of a cancer, but we have to understand how and what are the things that leads to a cancer development. Okay. So let's discuss the causes of cancer. Causes of cancer. The causes of cancer can be broadly classified into three types. First, physical. Second one is chemical. Third one is biological. The agents which causes a cancer, okay, that's called as carcinogens. What it is called as? Carcinogens. So what is a carcinogens? The agents which cause or which can cause cancer. They are called as carcinogens. And the carcinogens are broadly categorized into physical, chemical and biological carcinogens. So clear? The substances which can cause a cancer, what we are calling it as carcinogens. And these carcinogens are broadly classified into how many types? 3 types: physical, chemical and biological. Okay? So in a physical carcinogens, there are 2 types. First one is called as an ionizing radiations. But in this radiations, 2 type of a radiation: ionizing radiation, and the second one is called as non-ionizing radiation. Clear? They are the physical agents. They are responsible for causes of cancer. That means ultimately the radiation can cause a cancer. Rays like X-rays, gamma rays, UV rays, they have a capability to cause a cancer. How they cause a cancer? The rays, when it falls on our body or our body gets exposed to these rays like X-rays, gamma rays or UV rays, the rays has a capacity to damage the DNA. So it can break the DNA, and once the DNA gets break, the normal cell gets converted to a cancerous cells. Clear, students? So how the radiation can cause a cancer? The radiation breaks the DNA, and a breakage of DNA that converts a normal cell into a cancerous cell. The radiation can be of 2 types: ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation. And you have to remember the example of each: the ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation. So which are the ionizing radiations? The ionizing radiation that includes X-rays, and the second one is gamma rays. These are the ionizing radiations. And the non-ionizing radiation, it's UV rays, ultraviolet rays. Okay, that is a non-ionizing radiations. Both have a capacity to cause a cancer, and both are the physical agents that cause a cancer. Okay. Now the second one is the chemical agents. The chemical agents, one of the famous one, the chemical that is present in the smoke of a tobacco. The chemical which is present in the smoke of a tobacco is considered as carcinogen. Means it has a capacity to cause a cancer. And here the cancer is occurred due to a chemical. So this is called as chemical carcinogens. It's called as chemical carcinogens. Okay. The third one is biological. That means there are certain living organisms which also has a capacity to cause a cancer, and they are called as biological agents or biological carcinogens. Okay. The examples are the viruses. Clear? There are certain viruses, they have a capacity to cause a cancer. Like I will give you an example. EBV. Okay, that's Epstein-Barr virus. Epstein-Barr virus. I write down here the name. Epstein-Barr virus. Okay, so this is EBV, Epstein-Barr virus. Or you can also see one plant virus which can also cause a cancer, that is TMV, tobacco mosaic virus. This is a virus that causes a cancer to a plant cell. This is a virus that causes a cancer to an animal cell, Epstein-Barr virus. Clear? So there are viruses which has a capacity to cause a cancer, and that falls under a category called as biological agents. Okay? There is always a cancer causing genes are present in our body. Like you might have seen that in your village or in your surrounding areas, you might have seen certain person which are not even consuming a tobacco, they are not exposed to a radiations, they are not doing some kind of a, they don't have kind of a bad habits, though they may suffer from cancer. Okay? તમે જોયું જશે, તમે સાંભળ્યું જશે, આ કશું જ નતો કરતો, કંઈ પડીકી નથી ખાતો, દારૂ નથી પીતો કે સિગરેટ નથી પીતો, તો બી એને કેન્સર થયું હશે. કેમ થયું હશે? Because always the cancer causing genes, they are present in our body, but fortunately they are in inactivated form. What we call it as Proto-Oncogenes. In which form? Inactivated form. That's what we call it as Proto-Oncogenes. When these Proto-Oncogenes converts to oncogenes, that is the active form. Oncogenes means the cancer causing agents. Onco means cancer, genes means genes. So the genes which has a capacity to cause a cancer, they are called as oncogenes. So when proto-oncogene converts to a oncogene, or inactivated cancer causing genes gets converted to a cancer causing activated genes, then the cancer may occur. Cancer may occur. Okay. So that happens in case of a biological agents. Due to some modification of a genes or molecular structure of DNA, if proto-oncogene converts to a oncogene, then the cancer may develop. Okay. So these are the three causes of cancer, or these are the three types of carcinogens: physical, chemical and biological. Okay. In physical includes radiations. Radiation has a capacity to break the DNA, so the normal cell converts to a cancer cells, and that's why it is advisable, do not expose yourself to a radiations. X-rays and gamma rays are the examples of ionizing radiations, and the UV rays, ultraviolet rays, it's an example of non-ionizing radiation. Chemical, the chemical that is present in the smoke of tobacco, that is responsible for causing the cancer. Biological agents, that includes the viruses like EBV, TMV. EBV causes cancer to an animal cell, TMV causes a cancer to a plant cell. Even in some person, due to any reason, if proto-oncogene converts to a oncogene, that also leads to a development of a cancer. So that's all about the causes of cancer. So what we have discussed? We have discussed the different types of tumor, malignant tumor and benign tumor, and the difference between them. Malignant tumor, it spreads in a body. Benign tumor remains localized. We have also seen how the cancer occurs. Okay, normal cell has a contact inhibition, but the malignant or the cancerous cell, they don't have a contact inhibition. We have also discussed the causes of cancer, means the agents, they are responsible for causing a cancer. Now move ahead in a cancer. What are the different types of cancer? Different types of cancer. The first type of a cancer, it's called as carcinoma. What it is? Carcinoma. What is a carcinoma? Carcinoma, that means it is a cancer of epithelial cells. What is a carcinoma? It's a cancer of epithelial cell. Okay. Here you know that the epithelial cell, it forms the boundary of any organ, whether it's an internal organ or external organ. Okay. So the cancer of this epithelial cell, that is considered as carcinoma. It's called as carcinoma. Like for example, you can see example that lung cancer. So lung cancer is an example of a carcinoma. Or you can say intestine cancer. That is an example of a carcinoma, because here the epithelial cell gets affected. The second type of a cancer is sarcoma. Sarcoma means it's a cancer of connective tissue cell. It's a cancer of what? Connective tissue cell. Like it's a cancer of bone, cancer of cartilage, like bone cancer or cartilage cancer or bone marrow cancer. Okay, or you can say a fat cancer or adipocyte cancer, like in the case of a breast cancer. Okay, so this is an example of a sarcoma. Okay, so in a sarcoma there is a cancer of a connective tissue cell. Third is called as melanoma. What is melanoma? Melanoma means it's a cancer of pigmented cell. You know that our skin has a specific pigment called as melanin. Okay, and if that pigment containing cell becomes a cancerous, then this type of cancer is called as melanoma. So here the example is a skin cancer. Okay, and the UV rays has a more capacity to cause this kind of cancer. The fourth one is leukemia. Okay, and I also consider the fifth one for you, that is called as lymphoma. Leukemia and lymphoma commonly call it as blood cancer. Okay, but what's the difference in leukemia? Here the WBCs gets affected, where the number of WBCs gets increased more than 1 lakh per cubic millimeter. Okay, instead of 4 to 10,000 per cubic millimeter. And in lymphoma, it is also a blood cancer, but here specifically a lymphocyte gets affected, means it's a cancer of lymphocytes. Okay, so these are the different types of cancer: carcinoma, sarcoma, melanoma, leukemia, lymphoma. Carcinoma, it's a cancer of epithelial cell. Sarcoma, it's a cancer of connective tissue cell. Okay. Melanoma, it's a cancer of pigmented cells. And leukemia and lymphoma, they are the blood cancer. Okay. So these are the different types of cancer. Okay. Bone cancer, that comes under a sarcoma. Skin cancer that comes under the melanoma. Lung cancer, that comes under the carcinoma. Okay. Next. So we have discussed the causes of cancer, who caused the cancer. We have also seen the types of cancer, and now we are discussing the detection and diagnosis of cancer. Diagnosis of cancer. How the cancer can be diagnosed? Cancer can be diagnosed by a number of ways. The first way is through a biopsy. First way for detection of cancer is a biopsy. What is a biopsy? If a doctor finds that there is a suspected cancer in a specific tissue, so he removes a part of that suspected tissue, where there is a doubt that that cell might get converted into a cancer. So that procedure, the collection of specimen of that suspected tissue, that procedure is called as biopsy. That's called as a biopsy. And that cells, the collected cells, they are observed under a microscope. And if under a microscope they are found to be cancerous, then we diagnose it as a cancer. So the biopsy, and a biopsy along with observation under a microscope, and what we call it as histopathological examination. Okay? Histopathological examination, that means the observation of that tissue under a microscope, that is called as histopathological examination. So the first technique of diagnosis is biopsy and histopathological examination. Okay? Biopsy means taking the sample of suspected tissue, and histopathological examination means observing it under a microscope. Okay? Second technique is the imaging technique. Imaging technique. In imaging techniques, we are using a different kind of imaging techniques like X-rays, very simple one, X-rays. Second one is the somewhat advanced, what we call it as CT scan. Okay. Third one is, it's called as MRI. Clear? These are called as imaging techniques. X-rays, CT scan, MRIs, they get an overview of an internal structure. If a tumor is formed, okay, commonly what we call it as a mass of a cell, अथवा गुजराती में આપણે એને કહીએ છીએ ગાંઠ. So with the help of this X-ray or CT scan or the MRI, that tumor can be seen under that procedures. X-ray, CT scan and MRI. Okay. X-ray is the older method. Currently we are not using it. CT scan. What's the full form of CT scan? Remember, the full form of CT scan is C means computed, T means tomography. Computed tomography. Okay, this is called as a CT scan. In this CT scan, we are using the ionizing radiation. We are using the ionizing radiations. Like even you know that X-ray is an ionizing radiation. Okay. Here also in CT scan, we are also using the ionizing radiation. But the difference is that in a CT scan, we can get a 3D image of an internal organ, 3D image. Whereas in X-rays, we are getting just a 2D image of it. Okay, so CT scan, it utilizes the ionizing radiations where we can get a 3D image, and thus we can determine the cancer of internal organs. Okay, cancer of an internal organs. The third technique, it's called as an MRI. Full form is magnetic. M means magnetic, R means resonance, and I means imaging. This is a full form of MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, MRI. This technique, they utilize the magnetic field and use of a non-ionizing radiation for detection of a cancer or diagnosis of a cancer. So these all three are the imaging techniques: X-rays, CT scan, MRI. X-ray, it utilizes the ionizing radiation and just get a 2D image. CT scan, full form is computed tomography scan, where they utilizes the ionizing radiation, and here you can get a 3D image of internal organ. MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, it utilizes the magnetic field and utilizes the non-ionizing radiation to get an image. Now even nowadays there is also advancement in a CT scan, and we have also PET scan. PET. Clear? PET means positron emission tomography. Positron emission tomography scan. Okay, so this is the latest one technique in the diagnosis of a cancer. So these are the two ways. Third way of diagnosing is detecting or antibody against cancer causing antigen or cancer antigen. This is the third one, antibody against a cancer. This is a third method of detecting or diagnosing of cancer. Okay, and the fourth one is, we can utilize the fourth technique for detection of cancer is molecular biology. And this is helpful in the people who has a chances of causing a cancer hereditary. Okay, because that person has a genes, proto-oncogenes, and when this person gets exposed to a specific chemical or specific material, that proto-oncogene gets converted to a oncogenes, and that can be determined by a process called as molecular biology. So we can advise that person to stay away from such kind of agent, because if they expose to such kind of agents, in that the proto-oncogene gets converted to an oncogene, and they might going to be suffer from cancer. Okay, so this is useful in the cases where a cancer gets inherited, okay, from one generation to another generation. Okay, so these are the four diagnostic techniques. First, biopsy and histopathological examination. Second is imaging techniques, that includes X-ray, CT scan, MRIs. Third, the antibody against the cancer antigens. Okay, this is useful in detection of biological cancers. And fourth is molecular biology, and that is useful in the cases where the cancer gets inherited. Okay, so that's all about the diagnosis of cancer. So what we have discussed today, we have discussed what is cancer, how the cancer occurs, okay, how the normal cell differs from a cancerous cell. Normal cell has a contact inhibition, cancerous cell don't have a contact inhibition. We have also seen the difference between benign tumor and malignant tumor. We have also discussed the causes of cancer, means physical, chemical and biological agents, they are responsible for cancer. We also discussed the types of cancer like carcinoma, sarcoma, melanoma, leukemia, lymphoma. We have also discussed the diagnostic technique. And now, last part of this cancer is a treatment. Treatment of a cancer. The cancer can be treated by three ways, main three treatment. First is called as surgery. Clear? Second, it's called as a radiation. And the third one, it's called as chemotherapy. Okay, these are the three basic methods in the treatment of a cancer. Okay, surgery, radiation, chemotherapy. Now you know that what is a surgery. In surgery, what we are doing, the part we know that this is a part that is cancerous. We remove that cancerous part with the help of a surgery. This is called as a surgical method of treatment of cancer. Like for an example, suppose a person has a mouth cancer, a cancer in the mouth. So what we will do, as a medical professional, we remove that part which is cancerous. Clear? And that is done or performed by a surgeon. And this is called as a first way of treating the cancer. The second one is radiation. Okay? What is the radiations? You know that the radiations, they are damaging and destroying the cells. So we apply that radiations to a cancerous cell with a care of surrounding normal cells. Because normally the cancerous cells, they are surrounded by normal cells. So radiation can cause a damage to a both cell, normal cell as well as cancerous cell. But here in this technique, we are protecting a normal cell, or we are causing a minimal damage to a normal cell and destroying the cancerous cell with the help of radiations. Okay, so this is called as a radiation. And the last one, it's called as a chemotherapy. Here we are giving the medicines. Okay, we are giving the chemicals. Chemotherapy means here the treatment with the help of chemicals, that is called as a chemotherapy. We are giving the medicines either in the form of tablets or in the form of injections or in the form of implants. We are giving them the medicines, and this type of a treatment is called as a chemotherapy. These chemicals that have been administered or given, they have a capacity to destroy the cancerous cells, and thus they are useful in the treatment of a cancer. Nowadays, the chemotherapy also includes immunotherapy. What is an immunotherapy? In immunotherapy, we are giving a biological response modifier. What we are giving? Biological response modifier. Okay, because the cancer cell, they lost a power of immunity. Okay, immunity has a, now you know that immunity, you have already learned in the previous 3 sessions. What is immunity? Immunity means it is a system that exists in a body that has a capacity to differentiate between the self and foreign cell. Okay, so when normal cell gets converted to a cancerous cell, it has to be identified by immunity. But our immunity cannot able to identify the cancerous cells. Okay, and thus they are able to survive. So here we are giving the immunotherapy or biological response modifier that will detect the cancerous cell, and now our immunity attack on that cancerous cell and kills it. So here in immunotherapy, remember what we are giving? We are giving alpha interferon. We are administering alpha interferon. Okay, and this is a basis of immunotherapy. Okay, so in short, the treatment of cancer includes basic 3 concepts: surgery, that means a surgical removal of a cancerous part; radiations, the radiations have been exposed to a cancerous cell with a care of surrounding normal cell; and chemotherapy, administering the chemical, and that chemical has a capacity to destroy the cancerous cells. Okay, sometimes we are also giving a immunotherapy or biological response modifier like alpha interferon, which activate our immune system and they kill cancerous cells. Okay, so that's all about the disease, a cancer. Very important disease. You have to learn it thoroughly. Okay, so students, keep learning, keep watching, like and subscribe this channel. Okay, thank you.